And once again, welcome to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me here today in the studio is Frank Kennedy and also is Steve Katanga. I want to welcome you all back to the show again, and I think you both have some great news after returning from Cameroon back there in Africa. So, first, Steve, Frank, sorry. Let me just reach out to you for 1 second. How was your journey up to Cameroon?
Yeah, thank you so much, Harold.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second time that you're having us here, and it's always a pleasure
Sure.
to come here and share some time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we went to Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, and we visited some hospital over
Nice.
there, and then we came back. With a lot of information
Mhm.
that I'm pretty sure after we discussion, we
Mhm.
might talk a little bit more about it actually.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Because I remember the last time you was here, there was some form of complications with hospitals and healthcare, doctors misdiagnosing because of not having advanced
Mhm.
technology,
Mhm.
and so forth. Was this something you was able to iron out when you've been there?
Yes, definitely. So we are developing an application, a
Mhm.
medical application.
Mhm.
So we went over there in Cameroon. So we tried to work with 3 hospitals now.
Mhm.
So we already try to connect them together
Mhm.
and to make sure that the patient information
Mhm.
will be stored in the same database.
Mhm.
So we have the chance to share the information
Mhm.
between all these hospitals. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Mhm.
And Steve, now you was on that journey also. Did you have any kind of dialogue with some of these hospitals that Frank would have came in contact with? And in your opinion, what kind of progress you would have made in terms of not just trying to iron out the healthcare issues, but how you can be more effective in getting them new equipment and fundraising and that kind of stuff? What kind of advancement did you make?
Oh, well, Errol, thank you again for having us here for the second time.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure. In terms of discussions with hospitals, when we went there, we made some critical observations
Mhm.
as far as the conditions of patients go. We observed that the patients are more often than known
Mhm.
put in situations of
Mhm.
very precarious care. The care which they have do not go the full length of the extent
Mhm.
that they deserve.
Mhm.
They don't have the proper care appropriated to them.
Mhm.
There are shortcomings in the hospitals
Mhm.
as far as equipment goes. The equipment is not up to date. The equipment has been used for a long period of time. Now, if we want to analyze this situation in from just the surface,
Mhm.
we are going to focus on the equipment and not consider the ripple effect that are associated
Mhm.
with the dilapidating state of the current equipment.
Mhm.
One of the ripple effects is the contamination, the spread
Mhm.
of contaminated viruses,
Mhm.
the share of diseases. You go to a hospital and you might come out even more sick
Yeah.
than when you came in.
Mhm.
We, Frank and I, once we got there and made this observation, thought to ourselves, how can the health enough application come in play? Not only the application, but what can we also do
Mhm.
to impact the life of the people who are most affected by these shortcomings? That's when we came about with the health project for Cameroon, which has for objectives not only the supply of up-to-date medical equipment, which will also result in the advancement of the medical personnel in Cameroon, in Douala more specifically, because if they use up-to-date equipment, they are more in tune with the advancement in technologies. we don't want the people, the students, to be left behind because of the lack of infrastructure. There is a lack of water supply, clean water supply in hospitals as well. So there's a huge ecosystem that is affected by these shortcomings from these hospitals, which for some might be minute, but affect a whole array of a community.
Yeah, we understand that. But the other question I want to ask, so let's say there's a lack for modern equipment, and in the result of that, there's so many problems that coming about to patients and their health. Now, should they get access to this modern equipment? The question is the doctors up to date in knowing how to manage and work with these equipment? Are they trained with these special equipments, this more modern equipment, or are they stuck in time with a group or a bunch of old equipment that they had been so familiar with? And if not, would it then be advisable that these doctors put themselves in a position to be trained with more modern equipment?
Okay. That is a fantastic question, phenomenal question. We have, first of all, to take into consideration the fact that most of the best performing doctors in Cameroon have studied in the best schools abroad, whether in Europe or in the United States as well. We have skilled doctors. These doctors are familiar with the modern, the contemporary methods of medicine. Now, it is not to forget that some doctors might always be used to the old medicinal practices. The advantage that these up-to-date equipment brings is the fact that the doctors who are familiar with these equipment is an opportunity for them to share the knowledge. It's an opportunity for them to educate those doctors, those people in nursing school, medical school, on the advantages of modern equipment in medicine. Form proper skilled people, have a great impact on the learning curve of not only those in med school, but the doctors who got their medical license in the 60s or the 70s as well. It is not because their license might have been 30 years, 40 years ago that they will not be able to adjust or adapt to change or modern medicine. So there is a huge impact that the influx of these modern equipment will bring. The doctors who are on site, we have enough skilled doctors who will be able, and I'm very, very confident of the medical abilities of the doctors in the Republic of Cameroon, but also have an impact on the ecosystem, not only on the doctors, but on the patients, but those in med school. It's a generational thing.
And to add more, on what Steve just said, we need to know that health enough will answer a question, because we will be able to adjust our strategy by monitoring the impact of what we are going to do back home in Cameroon with health, with our health application. Also, we have to make sure that these people at first don't even go to the hospitals. So, and that's why we thought about working on water condition, water pump, water fountain, clean water, to make sure that these people, these kids, won't go to the hospital first. And to add more again, the doctor, to be honest, they're doing miracles over there back home, because we went to some villages, and what happened is they're saving life without having equipment, without having medical equipment. And they are pretty good doctors, the school abroad. So they went to a school abroad. So then they definitely know how to save people. But we have to to help them with the right medical equipment. You have to help them with with clean water. With we have to help them to create a very good ecosystem to make sure that people won't even go at first to the hospital. So that's why we came up with the idea from back home.
Right, I understand that. One of the things that I've known for a fact is that the medical equipment and medicine is like an on-day progress. I mean, every single day there's something new and innovative. Even the very doctors who are here and making some that is privileged to some of these equipment has to be trained consistently and consecutively year after year. One of the things that I was asking, if you have a group of doctors in Cameroon, even though they are great doctors and not exposed to the consistent changes on a yearly level or a monthly level of what's going on here in the US or even in Europe, would that simply mean that these doctors will have to be positioned in a place where they can have access to that up-to-date training? Because as good as they are, if you get absolute good equipment that just came out today, it doesn't mean they know how to operate with that equipment.
Yeah, you're right.
So they have to get a regular training. So would you be in a position as time go on to prepare an atmosphere where you can give some form of sponsorship to a group of doctors that they can come over here and have access to training? Because this is vitally important that when they go back home, when they have this new equipment, they know to function with it and they know to help their patients in a more better form. So I think that would be something of vital importance. And yeah, they are great doctors and they're doing wonders without anything. But to actually man the new equipment that they have today, there will have to be some provision where they can have training, access to training with that. So I think with that being said, your work here is going to be even more involved and deeper in how you get a foundation laid, that when they come, they can have some place to stay, they can have an opportunity to go to hospital and have some form of internship program. Because here in the US it's very strange. If you are a doctor from some other country and you weren't a graduate from here in the United States, they don't even really recognize you as really a doctor. You have to train all over again. This comes from good places, like even as far as Russian countries that got spectacular medicine, but if you are not trained here as a doctor, the requirements are that you have to start all over again. So that's one of the requirements here in the United States. But I think I can't state for a fact that if they're coming to do some form of internship program, that it wouldn't be available to them. I believe it should be available to them, but this is something now you have to put in place, that if you're going to sponsor a couple of doctors down here to train, this is something you have to put also in your up-to-date plans. So what else would you have beside the water? You know, they have to have access to clean water in the hospitals, as you said. Is there any form of water purification systems up there right now that looking after that matter or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. And I have a background in electrical engineering, so I know a little bit about engineering and stuff like that. So yeah, we definitely need to build more water pumps, water fountain, close to this hospital in Cameroon. So this will help us. This will help the doctors over there and the patient to have clean waters, and to make sure that the diseases won't stay around anymore.
Right.
So that's why. And I tried already. I built already two by myself. It was 3 years ago, but this is not enough. We need very, very, very much more water pump and clean water fountain.
So here it goes again. So here's the thing: you may have the delivery method of getting water from one point to the next. But we just don't want to bring water. We want to bring purified water. So what I'm asking, is there a methodology that would be put in place that not only would they have access to water, but access to clean, drinkable water that is palatable for patients and the community at large, would there then be something you would think about whether it's some water
Yeah,
distillery
water
or
filter.
purification thing?
Yeah.
Is this something you would then have to look at also, or is it that the water is just clean but just need to
Well,
be delivered?
the water pumps that we are talking about are systems
Okay.
which
Purify.
purify water.
water.
Once they drain the water,
Nice. Okay.
it
So it's a whole
purifies the
system.
water. Yeah.
Right.
And then it delivers the water to the tap, the special tap. And we have to keep in mind that every major development
Yes.
starts with clean water. Clean water has an impact on a lot of social levels in every community. If a child doesn't have access to clean water, he's going to fall sick and probably not be able to go to school, which will in turn reflect in the job skill level that he's going to attain,
Right.
and he's damned. And we have to also know that in African societies, it is mostly the women and the children who are commanded with the water duties. The men and the boys are at home, while the women and the children go and fetch water for the whole family. These have an impact. And again, dirty water, for that instance. If a woman takes 50 minutes to go and get water, 50 minutes to get the water and come back home,
Oh,
I
okay.
want, I want to cross-examine you for one second.
It is.
I heard you just say that the women and the children goes out to fetch the water, and the men and the boys, they stay at home.
they're home.
What are they home doing?
Their duties is to find money
Okay.
to put food on the table.
Okay.
That's their duty.
That's their
Oh,
duty.
to put food on the table. Now you
Okay.
can see the impact that the lack of clean water might have on a certain community, which
Right.
might grow out to be even a larger system. Clean water purification methods there are a plethora of them, but we find that the most effective and efficient will be a water pump that will deliver water to certain communities, certain affected communities. There is the usage of purification straws where the kid can have a straw and drink directly from the stream, and the straw purifies the water directly for consumption. But then we have to consider the fact that the water is not only used to drink. The water is used to cook. The water is used to take
For
baths.
everything.
Yes.
The water is used to clean the house. The water is used for everything.
Right.
And standing
Even for the
body,
farm.
even for the farm,
Yeah.
Right.
and standing bodies of water have a high rate of malaria.
Yes.
They're malaria bearing water bodies. So these will in turn affect kids. Mind you, the life expectancy in Cameroon is 55 years old.
Oh,
Oh.
that's pretty short.
It's pretty short.
I want to ask this question now. I know Africa is a huge continent,
Yeah.
and there are certain parts of Africa that are well developed, that look just as good as the United States
Of
and
course.
so forth. And then there are some parts of Africa that somewhat dilapidated, and people doesn't have privileges to get things done, and there's civil wars and all this kind of thing goes on there. What level from 1 to 9 would you see Cameroon to the other parts that are developed in Africa? On what level would you grade it from 1 to 10? Sorry, what level would you grade it at, and what kind of assistance more than the others you think Cameroon need? Is it one of these that are semi-dilapidated or lacking infrastructural development and still need to come on par to the others that develop?
Pardon me. I mean, I will let's see if I answer this question, but I would like to come back very quick to a point that you just talked about. We talk about the training here in the U.S. You know, so we have the training here in the U.S. hospital in back home in Cameroon, water pump, water system. So the health application will help us like to connect all this ecosystem. So if you are doing something back home in Cameroon, you will be able like to track it down. You will be able like to adjust the strategy, and you will be able like to communicate with the doctor back home. So they might have a good platform here that will help them maybe to come here or to have like online online what do you call it again, online training. They might have online training. So everything we can track it down there on the platform. So you make sure that to make sure that every single thing that we are doing for Cameroon, we are on the right path, we are on the right direction. Definitely.
So this brings us a little bit to the technological development, because I can remember last time we were here, I think you were I speaking subject to correction, I think you were saying that the internet system there is not that good or something like that. So is this something also that you'll be looking at, not only in terms of sending computers out there, but how would there be any strategic plans to try to get a form of decent, comfortable internet system for more technological development put in place?
All right, so we're gonna jump a little bit into more technology actually. Yeah, we had that issue, and we went back home and we realized that okay, we're gonna have like database in the hospital first. So because the communication, like direct communication with hospital might not be effective right away. So in each hospital we will have database over there. So once we pull up the patient data, we'll have stored over there, and then when the internet will be good enough, so we just pull everything up and to migrate everything to the whole database, like the whole headquarters that we create over there, that we have all the database from all these hospitals. But in each hospital we have store capacity that will store like information by the time that you are waiting for a good internet, because the internet is like in and out, up and down. It's not stable yet, but we are getting there actually. We are getting there.
So with the combination of those hospitals, since the internet system is not so uniquely put together, would there be one mainframe computer that governs the whole networking system between those hospitals?
Yes,
that they can tap into each other.
Yes, definitely. It'll be all on the same platform, on our platform. In the cloud. So everything will be like connected. So there's no worry about it. So we will install the same system everywhere, and we have an intranet system that will communicate between these hospitals actually.
Let me ask you a question. Is there an ambassador for your country here in the U.S. for Cameroon?
Of course. Definitely.
And is there located in Washington?
Washington, D.C.
Okay. And do you have any dialogue with them or anything like that?
Honestly, we are trying to separate like the political part and the
social
part. We are trying to separate that. We don't really want to get like too more involved in the political action, because people back home or people like let's say maybe the ambassador he's like from a political board, and these people back home that we are trying to help, they might be on another political side. I don't know. So that's why we do not want like to implicate the political part of it and the social part of it. So yeah, that's why we didn't really get in touch with him.
Because everything in Cameroon, which is politicized,
it's politicized,
always ends up being biased, because any person has to choose a side. It's not as liberal as it is here. We have to say that. And it is quite unfortunate, but we want to focus more on the people who are more in need of the change that we want to bring, which are the kids, the women, and the patients. We will be comfortable announcing or asking for a partnership with the Cameroonian representation But we don't want to be limited to that. We want to be put in a position, or we want to be in a position where, with or without them, we are able to convene our message and our action to the people who are most in need, which are the patients, the kids, and the women. If we have the opportunity to impact just the community, I feel like we will have done a great job. If we can save a kid if we can take a kid out of a situation of precarity where he can have a positive impact on his family, provide education for a part of his family due to some actions that we bring, I feel that we will have fulfilled a great deal of our mission, which is to bring a good, healthy ecosystem to first starting in Douala and then grow from there. After Cameroon, we might have some other countries with whom we might want to engage, but that's when.
So the most important thing right now is water also.
Yeah, water also.
Everything
Yeah,
starts
definitely.
with
I mean,
water
that's the
also.
source of
Yeah,
life.
That's the source of life.
Yeah, definitely. Let's say you are like you are a Cameroon ambassador, you know, and if we are coming to you with a project that we wanna like build it maybe in Douala or Yaoundé everywhere. I mean, I'm not saying that you will say you will say it, but you might say, hey guys, okay, if it's water pump, I want you guys to start by my village first. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So this is the type of obstruction that we might have. So we want to go where where the needs like is the most, definitely. So we want to impact the society where they need it, like, you know, very, very, very badly. So that's why we don't really want to get involved to the political part of it.
What's the population in Cameroon is like? You have already?
The what, please?
Population?
The population, 25 million. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
25 million.
25
And
million.
70%, they are less than 30 years old. So it's a very young population, actually.
Okay.
So even when you were talking about, like, you know, the training of doctors, we have a lot of young doctors over there, pretty good, but they would definitely need maybe more training here in the US. Yeah. So
and that's
that
where your
would be
foundation comes in play as well, as a bridge.
as a bridge,
you know,
yeah.
for those doctors.
We discussed that
Yeah.
pretty sure.
So to link
Yeah.
the doctors back home,
Right.
the young
Okay.
doctor back home,
Okay.
with the doctors here, maybe.
Well, nice. So we are in the final minute of our program, and I want to say to you, Frank, it was a pleasure having you back here.
Thank you.
Steve, it's a pleasure always having you here.
Likewise.
We're both going to be working pretty close
Yeah. Of
to make some changes in your endeavors towards Cameroon, and we'll be doing that pretty shortly.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
until then, to all those who have been tuning in, thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Hey, this job looks perfect. It says you need people skills,
Check.
driver's license,
Check.
and a high school diploma. You got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
You are good to go.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome to Understood.org, a free online resource for parents of kids with learning and attention issues, with personalized recommendations, tools, and expert advice.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it here. So what are you waiting for? Just go to the site.